that you perhaps use violence too much.
I like violence. I love violence. I hate the weak person who go to art and say, oh, that hurt me, that image. Why to make picture for that person? They are blind. Poetry is violent. This is the reality. They are so much in a violent world, so much, they don't want to see that. I am in the middle of violence. I am in the middle of a screen of television now. There I am, in the middle of the screen of that television which is showing every day the violence of the world. And the person is saying to me, oh, you are violent. I like violence.
What's up, everybody? We're back tonight, and we're in for a special treat. We're about to ascend the Holy Mountain.
Ooh.
Alejandro Jodorowsky's masterpiece. It's almost a fever dream of religious and psychedelic insanity.
Can't wait to check it out. So I'm gonna dig up the trailer. You guys know how I roll on Neon Trash. Peep that shit. We'll be right back, motherfuckers.
Alejandro Jodorowsky's The Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain is a film completely outside the entire tradition of motion picture art. It is outside the tradition of modern theater.
And we're back, and this movie did not disappoint. It was both visually and mentally stimulating. The color schemes, everything was off the chain. I had a really good time watching this film. To say what it was about would be even irrelevant to touch on. So, and when I mean that, I should say more openly, like, this is definitely up for your own interpretation as an art project. You can't really say what it is. But I enjoyed it. I've heard many stories about it and seen blips of it, and it was exactly what I wanted it to be. So this was a hell of a ride, and I enjoyed it.
I'd have to concur. I feel like this movie is definitely, as Johnny Rockwood would say, in the wheelhouse, at least for me.
What does that mean?
When it's in the wheelhouse, it means that what's going on with the film as a director or a cinematographer and soundtrack composer, it speaks to you in some way. Oddly enough, this was the 1970s when this movie came out, so the early 1970s were still heavily influenced by the drug culture of the 60s, and I got that going into this movie.
Very much so.
Yeah, I understood that, and I have seen El Topo, and when this movie began, I thought, oh shit, this film right here, The Holy Mountain, it beats El Topo. However, that opinion changed as the movie went on. I feel like with El Topo, there was an actual narrative. You know, you had this kind of like psychedelic Western, you know what I'm saying? It was a Western meets altered states. With this movie, it was the latter half of El Topo the whole fucking time. And if you're not prepared for that, if you don't know what that is, or your limits of patience are tested, then watching a movie such as this will disappoint you. You'll be bored. You'll be overstimulated. I am curious. I'm about to pass it on to BC here. Is it in BC's wheelhouse?
it's not out of my wheelhouse, but I don't know if it's in my wheelhouse. Like, if I had to summarize, like, quickly how I felt about this movie, it's that, like, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, the soundtrack was banging, it was cool, it was awesome. The visuals were stunning, and if someone were to tell you that they knew what this was about, they're lying to you. I mean, there's like general themes, like you can see that there's like commentary on religion, warfare, consumerism, sex, all these types of things, but how the director feels about it, or how we're supposed to feel about it by the end, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so with these types of movies, like, I thought it was fun to watch, but like I could see people saying like it's pretentious too. It's almost like modern art where like you look at it and it's like you figure out what it means. And it's like some people really like that, and then other people are like, I don't know. So for me, I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I thought the first act was intriguing. I thought the second act was a lot of fun. I will say that the third act is kind of where the movie started to lose me. Although they're climbing up a mountain, and the movie kind of started to feel like I was climbing up the mountain. So maybe that's what they wanted.
As someone who isn't necessarily a film buff, I would say it was very interesting. But also, if you aren't open to exploring other, like, non-mainstream genre-esque things, then you probably wouldn't be interested in it, but like I'm interested in experiencing other things, so I thought it was interesting, but it's kind of like you're watching and you're like, okay, is this all correlated, or is like, I don't understand, is this, you know, it's kind of up to your interpretation, but like along the way you're like, oh, that makes sense. But it's not like I'm lost, I don't know what's going on, it's like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It's interesting.
Did it turn you off at all, or was it?
No, not really.
Okay.
And then like there was like some moments where you're like, what the fuck? But it's not like I'm uninterested.
Only some
it's like,
moments?
Those were the best moments, honestly.
But it wasn't like, what the fuck, I'm uninterested. It's like more in like you're like, what's going on? I'm more interested now. Like,
Yeah, what next?
it made
What
me
can the
more
director
interested.
do?
The what the fuck moments generate more interest.
And
Yeah.
each scene transition arguably is like a different set, a different play, a different nightmare or dream or hallucination.
Well, yeah, for a lot of the movie, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I feel like there's definitely symbolism going on, but like, I feel like an idiot and have no idea what he's getting at here. And like, a lot of the movie, I just kind of felt like an idiot, but like, I feel like at the same time, that's probably what the director was like going for. Like, he didn't necessarily want you to know what was going on. And I also think that like we all did this movie a great disjustice by not doing a bunch of psychedelics for this movie, because I feel like this movie is just that's what it's made for. Like, you know, we were drinking, it was cool to watch. But like, I also like remember when I did some psychedelics when I was younger, and I was like, well, I mean, I would like be like, bug it out, if you will. Like, if I was on some psychedelics for this movie, because really, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that one in terms of like the overall takeaway with the film. I think we all enjoyed it for various reasons. I mean, come on. When you throw enough shit against the wall, some of it's going to stick. And I feel like with this type of psychedelia cinema, some of it's going to stick. So let's do the star counts. Dale, this is your pick. Saturday night. I am so glad you brought this over. I love it, but I want to know, out of 10 stars, overall, what do you think about this one compared to El Topo?
Oh, Jesus. It's hard to compare it to El Topo, so they're like two different movies.
Yeah,
I
it
completely
really is.
agree with you. It's like the end of El Topo, just unhinged for 2 hours in this film.
Yes.
For most of it. But yeah, it's hard to put up against it. I like them both for various reasons, because El Topo reminds me a lot of The Gunslinger, and I know that's what Stephen King also thought too.
Yes.
Got inspired with it and so on and so forth. And I say going with that, I'd have to give this a 9.
Ooh.
9 for craziness.
Damn. All right, well, fair enough. I think that's a solid review. I'm with you on that one. I don't know if I can give this a 10 because I do think for me, this type of weird cinema is significant. I think it's important to watch something like this compared to the shit that Hollywood just fucking regurgitates over and over again. This is dirty, down and dirty, independent, do it my way, DIY cinema. And I think that's important. Every now and again you gotta see a movie like this where it's not about what the producers want or the studio wants. So for me, I'm gonna actually go with an 8, 8.5. BC?
I share the same sentiments as you. I feel like I would much rather watch this than like your typical Hollywood affair for the most part. Like mainly because, like you said, not everything is gonna work in this movie, but there were some scenes that like, I'm gonna remember the scenes from this movie for forever. There was like a fucking robot getting stimulated and opening up and having a baby robot. That's the one that like sticks. And only the woman.
Wait, that's for the afterthought.
This shit.
I gotta talk about
that
the
alone.
scene.
I was like, well, that made this worth watching for me.
Oh, like what the fuck?
So, enough interesting, weird, or funny things for me to like enjoy this. I think this is a movie that'd be cool to have in your collection. I would be interested to see this director or a similar one, you know, have a film where there's more of like a direct narrative, because then maybe I could connect with something even if I don't fully understand it. I didn't like connect with this movie.
Sure.
But it was fun and it was filmed really well, so I think I'm gonna go with an 8 as well.
Oh!
I thought it was very interesting, and I went in not expecting anything. And I would say an 8.5.
It is an experience for sure. Like, I feel like anyone who cares about movies or cinema, and if they call movies films especially, if you call movies films, this movie's for you. No, no. It's very interesting. It's an experience, and like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's no narrative, and you have no idea what's going on for most of the movie. So that being said, it's awesome, but can you really call it a movie? I don't know. As movies go, like, if I was going to compare other movies to it, like, I would have to have some sort of, like, number system going on, and like honestly, like as movies go, I'm gonna give it a 7 because you have to watch it, but it's not necessarily a good movie.
I feel like all of that's relevant. This movie here, The Holy Mountain, is definitely polarizing. I'm glad Dale brought it. I like watching this type of thing. I'm sure everyone else had their own experience with it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, ultimately, what a piece of cinema. This guy pushed the fucking envelope with this movie, and I gotta give him credit. This movie's ballsy. So I hope we've been informative to you guys. Until the next time, you know what to do. Tune in to the Neon